beautiful, welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, I am going to do a full face of makeup using Revolution makeup products. Now recently, Revolution makeup products are actually physically available in New Zealand at Farmers department store. Now I usually purchase my beauty products from Revolution brand through beautybliss.co.nz, which is like a Wellington based makeup website. So I have a few things from that website, but as well as the things that I picked up from the physical stand that the Farmers have. So without further ado, let's hop right into the video. So I didn't pick up any primer from Makeup Revolution or Revolution because I don't think they sell one in New Zealand specifically, but I do have this spray right here, and this is the Hyaluronic Fix, which is a hydrating and plumping makeup fixing spray. It's actually a fixing spray, but I actually like it before makeup. It adds like a nice refreshing feeling to the skin. It wakes up my skin and it somewhat plumps it as well. Well, at least I do think so myself. So for foundation today, I have the Revolution Fast Base foundation stick, and this one is in the shade F10. I did a first impression / review on this foundation, so I will link that down below. Unfortunately, this specific foundation is not available at Farmers, but you can find this from the Beauty Bliss website, which is the go-to website whenever I want to purchase products that are affordable, specifically from Revolution. It says that this is a warm tone shade, but as you can see, it's more of a neutral. Surprisingly enough though, it matches my skin tone, which is the main thing. So I actually like using a foundation brush with a stick foundation. I find that it blends it better. As you can see, the coverage is actually great. It does blend very smoothly on the skin. It doesn't feel heavily greasy or very slippy. I actually forgot to apply this. I should have applied it before, but I have this baking oil which is supposed to hydrate and prep your under eyes specifically, or mainly the areas where you experience dry patches. But this is what it looks like. It comes in a dropper and it smells somewhat citrusy, so I probably am going to take probably that much, and I'll just quickly dab that under my eyes. The consistency is obviously an oil, but I find that it kind of gets absorbed onto my skin quickly, which is what I like. That means that the consistency is quite thin, that it won't really slip or slide. It doesn't really say anything apart from applying this to your skin prior to foundation. Well, we definitely didn't do that because we applied it after, because I forgot about it, but we'll see how this goes. So I'm going to let it absorb for a little bit, and then we're going to move on and apply our concealer. For concealer today, I'm going to use the Conceal and Define concealer. I actually don't know how I feel about this. It's quite strange because at Farmers, when I swatch C8, it's warm, but it's not like awfully white looking like this, whereas this shade specifically is C8.5, and it's supposed to be a little bit darker, but it's very light. So I'm going to use this as an eye primer as well, and I'm going to blend that with this body sponge. With the help of that baking oil, my under eye is not as creasy and it's not as flaky as it used to, because I actually did suffer from an allergic reaction a couple of weeks ago. My under eyes is still healing. It's still a little bit dry, but putting on that baking oil actually helped it a little bit. Like as you can see, I don't have like an intense creasing, because I remember when I tried this concealer, I had like a massive line just under here, but now it's gone, which is good. That means that that baking oil actually helps. So I feel like that could be a great primer, especially if you have oil, no, not oily, if you have dry skin. So now I am going to lightly bake. I unfortunately don't have any powder from Revolution, so I'm just gonna quickly use my setting powder and pack on a little bit of powder underneath the eye and then set the rest of my face. That baking oil, oh my god, is actually a really good product. I would normally get a lot of creasing and then my under eye would be so flaky that it's not even cute to look at, but with the use of that under eye or baking oil, oh my gosh, made a huge difference. Now I still have a little bit of patches here and dryness in here, but I'm telling you, underneath my eyes I usually have like a huge line here, but now it's gone. And like I still have lines, but it's not as obvious. Ooh, I actually quite like that baking oil. This will probably be a great one to have, especially if you have dry skin or if you have any flakiness or like breakout healing. This kind of stuff is perfect for that one. So now I have a contour kit, and this is the Revolution Iconic Lights Contour Pro. So I have this one. It doesn't really say what shades, it just said 8 blush palette. So what I'm going to do is to actually brighten my under eye a little bit. So I'm going to probably use this yellow shade here with a little bit of this shade. See how it goes. That brightened it up a little bit. If you compare this eye to this eye, this one is more lifted, whereas this one has got a lot of darkness under this area right here. I mean, it goes on fairly smoothly. It doesn't feel patchy or anything like that. So now I am going to try this shade right here to bronze a little bit. We'll see how this one turns out because it looks a little bit warm. It's a tad bit powdery, so just keep that in mind. It's a nice bronzer and it shows up, which I like. I actually quite like that, and it blends very smoothly. It doesn't have any patches or whatsoever. It's powdery, but it's pigmented. I like that. So now I think I am going to try and I'm going to go and use this shade right here to chisel out my cheekbone a little bit. It's a little bit on the red undertone. That actually worked, and now I am going to clean up underneath using that yellow shade from the contour. I have hay fever at the moment and I feel like everything is a mess because I have to constantly sneeze every second or so. Go and dip to that contour shade and just do a little bit of nose contouring. Contour kit has got a highlight. We have this shade right here, which is more of a sheen actually, and we have this one. So you can't really tell. I think I'm just going to stick with this vivid highlighter for now because those two highlight shades don't really show up properly on my skin. More so it looks silver or very ashy. Oh, and this one is the Vivid Baked Highlighter in the shade Peach Lights. I actually don't have a blush, so what I'm actually going to do is to go in this Pro HD 35 palette from Revolution. I thought this is a great bargain, especially if you're like a makeup artist and you don't want to spend a lot of money on palette. This one is a good thing to have. Since I don't have a blush, I might actually go and pick the shade up right here and use that as my blush. And that shade is called Pajamas with Heels. And this is the Socialite palette. I'm going to spritz my face with this fixing spray again, just to take away the powderiness of the makeup. So now we're going to move on to the eyes. I'm going to use the HD Pro palette from Revolution, and it sucks because the names actually comes in the box. So what I'm going to do is probably cut out the shade names and stick it at the back, because honestly this is so boring, like it's just the information and stuff. So I actually love to know what shades I'm using. For our lids, I want to try this shade right here called Payslip. It's a matte shade, and that's so pretty and very pigmented actually. I actually personally love Revolution's matte eyeshadow shades, even though they're powdery, but they're actually super blendable and very pigmented. If you can see, the eyeshadow is a tad bit powdery, so just keep that in mind. So for transition shade, I actually don't know what I'm going to do, because this palette here has got a lot of like warm tones and stuff. So maybe I'll focus around this here, which looks pretty. So here are the shades. Oh my gosh, I think I am going to mix this shade and this shade for my lid, because that right there, whew, that is amazing, and it just speaks summer to me. So I think I am going to go and use this shade right here. This one is called Debutante or Debutante. I'm going to use that as my transition shade. Again, it's powdery, so just keep that in mind. See what I'm saying, guys? Like, Revolution matte eyeshadows are actually very amazing. Like, it just blends and it's very pigmented. Like, you wouldn't even know that this is such a affordable eyeshadow palette. To deepen up the lid, I think I might use the shade right here that is called Nose Job. And I'm going to use this brush right here and deepen that in the crease. Like, this is overly warm. I want it to be a little bit cool toned. I think I may have overdid it, so I am going to go back to the shade Debutante again and blend that. But oh my gosh, this eyeshadow is so pigmented. I can't even. So now what I'm going to do is to put a little bit on the lower lash line. So I am going to go and use Debutante and put that a little bit lower. I'm going to use Nose Job and put that here. With the first shade that we use called Payslip, I am going to highlight my brow bone and blend everything once again. Look at the blend though. It's so pretty. So now what I'm going to do is to use the shades actually, Credit Card and Charlie. So Credit Card is that shade right there, which is more of a coppery shade, and Charlie is more of a bronzy gold shade. They kind of look similar. I'm going to actually mix them together, and I'm going to focus that on the lid space that we have. I'm not going to use any Fix Plus or concealer or whatever, because I actually want to show you guys that these metallic shades from Revolution actually works. Like, look at that. That was just one swipe. I mean, some of the shades can be a hit or miss, but majority of them actually works pretty good. It has a little bit of fallout, so just keep that in mind, but I mean, it shows up very pretty, even without Fix Plus or concealer as a base. I actually want to lighten it up a little bit, so I'm going to go and use the shade right here called Elite, and I'm going to put that in the inner corner. and in the middle here. For the lower lash line, I want to use this shade right here called Tough, which is like a nice cranberry shade. That one right there, it comes off more of a orange, which is strange. And I'm going to apply that on the inner part, just to add a little bit of something. For the inner corner highlight, I am going to go and use the shade called Prima Donna. Prima Donna girl. Yeah. So I'm going to just quickly apply some false lashes and finish off my eyes off camera, and then we'll come back to do the final touches and the lips. Now for the lips, I have a contour lip kit. Actually, it's called Lip Contour Kit, and this is a matte liquid lipstick. So I have it in the shade Echelon, which is this one right here. Funnily enough, the lip liner is a little bit darker. That one right there. So I actually quite like this kind of color because I feel like that matches me. And this is a lip pencil. It's not retractable. And I have the liquid lipstick in the shade Echelon as well. And that's what it looks like right here. So the lip liner looks more warm as opposed to the liquid lipstick, but I think both of them will look great when paired. So what I'm going to do is to actually line my lips. Ooh, it's very smooth. The lip liner is very creamy. Now I do have a lip balm underneath and I didn't rub it off because typically liquid lipstick will dry out my lips. Ooh, this one has got a creamy formula. It's not very thick and it's actually quite opaque. It has a thin, creamy consistency. It glides on very smoothly. It's very opaque, as you can see, and it takes a while for it to dry. Like, you still have a lot of work time, which I actually prefer if I were to wear a liquid lipstick, because I don't like the type of liquid lipstick where it dries very, very fast, and then as soon as you want to put more layer on top, it just goes blotchy. But this is really nice. It has a little bit of stick to it, but not intensely, and I actually quite like the shade. It definitely complements this somewhat bronzy eyes that we made. Well, for me, I would definitely top it off with a gloss because I just can't stand like a very matte lips. But if you're actually enjoying this kind of lip, this would be a great one to have. And this is only what, like 15 bucks, so you won't totally break the bank. And here is my final look. Overall, my thoughts, I definitely recommend Revolution makeup products. One, they're very, very affordable. Two, you pretty much can find anything you will need, from like foundation, setting spray, contour, eyeshadow. My most favorite product from Revolution is hands down the eyeshadow palettes that they have, especially the ones that has this kind of packaging. I think they're called Iconic. Those are very pigmented. Same goes for this eyeshadow palette. Everything, like the matte shades, just blend it out very smoothly. It's very pigmented. The shimmers are surprisingly very pigmented. Like, it definitely packs on color, and this is without any primer or any setting spray whatsoever. They are definitely worth the money. And if you're a beginner and into makeup, I definitely suggest Revolution because they're just great, and I'm actually quite glad that I discovered this brand. Please subscribe to my channel if you enjoy my content, and please do come back for more. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will catch you till next time. Bye.